Let's talk about how to stop a panic attack. If you have them, you're going to be very happy you're watching this video. I'm going to show you how to put yourself back in control over the situation, because in a panic attack, there's an intense fear and it's a feeling of you're out of control. Here are some symptoms: hyperventilating, sweating, dizziness, palpitations, a lump in the throat, or you feel like you're suffocating. Your pulse rate starts to go up, your heart starts to pound, chest pain, and there's quite a few other symptoms. Now, what's actually fascinating about a panic attack is that all the symptoms are identical to another condition called respiratory alkalosis. This is a situation where the pH of your lungs is too alkaline. Hyperventilation, sweating, dizziness, palpitations, lump in the throat, high pulse rate, heart pounding, and chest pain. They're the exact same symptoms. So that's pretty strange, right? Why do you have these symptoms over here, panic attack, are identical to this other condition right here? To understand what's going behind the scenes, there's something I need to teach you. There is an effect called the BOHR effect, B-O-H-R. BOHR comes from someone's name, Christian Bohr. He was a Danish physiologist in, I think it was 1904. He made an observation, which still stands right now. In order for oxygen to bind and be released in the blood, okay, in the hemoglobin, you need CO2, okay? If there's too much oxygen and not enough CO2, the oxygen will not be released from the blood. In fact, check this out. 80% of oxygen is returned to the lungs undelivered. But here you are trying to breathe oxygen, right? Because you're in a panic mode. All this oxygen is going through the lungs, it's going through the body, and it's coming back to the lungs, and you're exhaling oxygen, 80% of the oxygen, because the oxygen, for some reason, cannot be released. And in normal lungs, when you have normal oxygen and sufficient CO2, we get this release of oxygen from the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is just the part of the blood that's protein that helps you carry and deliver oxygen. It's like a transport system for oxygen. And so, when you don't have enough CO2, you get air hunger. You're trying to get more oxygen, right? That's called hyperventilation. And then what are you going to do? You're going to overbreathe, right? You're going to breathe more and more, and guess what? You're going to get worse. You're actually going to be suffocating. I mean, just think about when a person hyperventilates, they actually end up passing out. Or better yet, let's say you have a party and you're the person that has to blow up all the balloons, right? What happens when you start blowing up all these balloons? You feel very, very dizzy. You feel like you're faint. You're going to pass out. And that's because you're trying to get too much air. So oxygen is unavailable unless there's enough CO2. We think of CO2 being a waste product, but it also has a very important function to help you release oxygen from your blood so you can breathe. So what causes respiratory alkalosis? Too much oxygen, but it's unavailable, right? It's another term for this is oxygen toxicity. Oxygen can become toxic if you get too much in the presence of carbon dioxide deficiency. So how can we use this information to pull ourselves out of a panic attack? Well, which one of these conditions can we control? Can we control sweating? No, not really. How about dizziness, palpitations, lump in your throat, high pulse rate? No, you can't control any of these except your breathing, okay? So by controlling your breathing, which I'm going to show you, you can get rid of all of these symptoms. Let me explain. So by controlling your breathing in a certain way, you can resolve this whole thing and very rapidly pull yourself out of this stress or flight or fight mode. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. Number one, you're going to start to nose breathe, right? No longer breathe through your mouth. Start breathing through your nose. What is this going to do? It's going to start to increase CO2. CO2 is a bronchial relaxer. It relaxes the lungs. It allows for the oxygen to finally go back into your lungs. Also, when you breathe through your nose, you increase It's called nitric oxide, which also gives you a smooth muscle relaxation effect, okay? So it starts to relax the respiratory centers. All right, next thing is to slow down your breathing, okay? So we can get some more CO2, so we can switch from here to here. It's going to start to allow you to breathe much better. All right, number 3, start breathing from your diaphragm. So if you put your hand on your chest, okay, and your stomach, we want to avoid breathing from your chest. So when you breathe from your stomach, not your chest, you're affecting the diaphragm. And the diaphragm is connected to a part of it's called the parasympathetic nervous system. That is rest and digest. It's going to start to relax you. All right, so breathe through your nose, start slowing down the breathing, and start breathing through your stomach or the diaphragm. Number 4, make sure your breath is soft and gentle. We're trying to relax the body. We're trying to allow a perfect balance of oxygen to CO2 so you can get maximum oxygen, so you don't have too much or don't have too little. This is why in a panic attack, the timing is also important too, because a lot of times the exhalation, breathing out, is not the same as the inhalation. So you might find that your exhalation is too quick. So if you start to balance out the inhalation with the exhalation, you're going to do much better. And you can even just count, breathe in 1, 2, 3 through the nose. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. So it's going to be about, I don't know, between 3 to 4 seconds in and then 3 to 4 seconds out. But we're going to calm down the breathing. All this is going to pull you out of this panic attack very, very fast. And if you can do this outside where there's more space, you do not want to get yourself into very small spaces because there's just not enough space. And when you're in a panic attack, everything is kind of collapsing in on you. You feel out of control and your body's just suffocating. So with this technique, we're just balancing the oxygen with the CO2. And when you do this, guess what? You can pull yourself out of this condition too. The pH of your lungs start going into balance and become less alkaline and exactly where they need to be. All right, so the next time you have a panic attack, try this and then comment down below how it worked for you. Now, if you haven't seen my acupressure technique for stress, I put it right here. Check it out.